في أكبر الكتب.
Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightbackMedia.com, 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 and FightbackMediaTV.com. Hope you are well. It is a beautiful Friday morning. It's going to be a scorcher today in West Central Florida, and looking forward to every bit of it. Speaking of scorcher, now you guys know that I'm not necessarily a fan of Thomas Massie. Representative Thomas Massie is a Republican from Kentucky, especially how they really don't understand strategy. Him and Marjorie Taylor Greene. But this thing right here, this hits at the heart of what I believe, and a lot of people believe, has been the America's financial woes since, well, dang near 100 years ago, more than 100 years. Robert Thomas Massie introduced legislation that would end the Federal Reserve. Now, this effort was first undertaken by another uh, representative, dude named Ron Paul, way back in 1999. This is known as the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act, House Resolution 8421. It would abolish the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve banks, as well as repeal the 1913 law that created the Federal Reserve System. Now, a lot of very, very wealthy people are going to come after this and use the media with all sorts of venom. I'll be honest, Thomas Massie's life may actually be in danger at this point because a whole bunch of people's wealth, I mean, incredible wealth, has been based on this system that basically steals from the American taxpayer. Oh, surprise, surprise! That 1913 was also the introduction of the Internal Revenue Service. These things are not coincidental; they go together. The Kentucky Republican argued that American financial pain is a result of the Fed's actions. He says this: Americans are suffering under crippling inflation, and the Federal Reserve is to blame. During COVID, the Federal Reserve created trillions of dollars out of thin air and then loaned it to the Treasury Department to enable unprecedented deficit spending. By monetizing the debt, the Federal Reserve devalued the dollar. And that's important to understand that when they devalue, the dollar gets devalued, the money that you have in your pocket buys less. Which makes it seem like, why is everything so expensive? Well, prices will move to wherever the market has them move, but they're expensive to you and I because our dollar doesn't buy what our dollar used to buy because it just is devalued, right? And enable free money policies that cause the high inflation we see today. Businesses, grocery stores, oil, they don't cause inflation. In government causes inflation. Monetizing the debt is a closely coordinated effort between the White House, Federal Reserve, Treasury Department, Congress, the big banks, and Wall Street. Through this process, retirees see their savings evaporate due to the actions of a central bank pursuing inflationary policies that benefit the wealthy, the super wealthy. I mean, not even just people who have money, the super wealthy, and the people who are connected. If we really want to reduce inflation, the most effective policy is to end the Federal Reserve. Wow. Wow. Now, co-sponsors of this legislation include Republicans Andy Biggs, Lauren Bob Boebert, Josh Bretchen, Tim Burkard, Eric Burleson, Kat Kamek from Florida, the Michael McLeod, Eli Crane, Jeff Duncan, Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, Bob Gosar, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Harriet Hagman, Ralph Norman, Scott Perry, and Chip Roy, Keith Self, Victoria Sparks, and Tom Tiffany. This is basically the Freedom Caucus, right? Now, I'm excited about it, but I'm realistic. It's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. Just like every session, a house rule is brought up that will ask that any bill written in that session, quote, where in the Constitution that the House or the person bringing the bill, where that bill has right to thrive under the Constitution. What authorizes this action? What in the Constitution authorizes this action? That house rule dies every year, and if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what you're. I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know what you're looking at. You see, I was mad at Massey because this whole push, this whole speaker push, but this thing right here, this is the giddy up. This is the straight up giddy up. Here is where Republicans need to focus, or at least some Republicans need to focus and stay focused there. Now, what this ought to do is this ought to wake the Republicans in the Senate up. And what happens is, if they wake the Republicans in the Senate up, what should happen then is that there needs to be a bill in the Senate to do the same thing. No, Joe Biden's never going. I mean, if somehow they were to pass it, Joe Biden's never going to sign a bill like that, ever, ever, ever. I understand. But we have to do what the left does sometimes. You start with something that's so far off, way out here somewhere, and you never stop pushing. You keep banging on that drum. You gain ground. You move the needle. You make the case until you're in a position to actually get it done. You know what I'm saying? One more time. It's way out here, way the heck out here. But it's important. So you keep pushing it. You keep it on the table. You don't back off of it. And you move on it and you move on it until you start making the case, because we have to make the case for the American public. You make the case for it. You make the case for it year after year after year after year until it is a position that you could actually get something accomplished. And you cannot get distracted. I think this is what happens. I think we have Ron Paul, and who didn't. And frankly, I blame his son Rand, who didn't pick up the gauntlet here and move it forward. So now we've got 25 years have passed, and it's worse than ever. But it was going to be in the Fed. And then when you get done with in the Fed, in the IRS. We built a country without the IRS. We built a nation without the Fed. It can happen. It can be done. Yes, yes, there will be turbulence in the meantime. Yes. Yes. There will be questions and turbulence in the meantime. But if you want to live in a free country, literally, if you want to live in a free country, if you are someone who says that we should live in a place where there's free enterprise, those two things, in my estimation, have to go. And the sooner they go, the better. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report, again, is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sake, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye now.
Remember that day, في أكبر